Extended family. I am fortunate to have a large extended family. I mean that in the literal sense. My mom is one of 14 children, after all. But I'm also referring to those family members who exist outside my biological family. Those friends and mentors and loved ones who may not share that close genetic link, but who are family all the same. I considered this while on a recent vacation with my 7-year-old daughter Claire and my 8-year-old son Mickey. We were out in the Pacific Northwest seeing sights and visiting friends. Specifically, we spent a day traveling the Oregon coast with my dear friend Nate, and we stayed in Washington for a couple days with my good friend Scott and his family. Scott, Nate, and I have been friends since we were teammates back in college. Scott and I were even dorm neighbors and eventual roommates. Back in college, we were part of a close-knit group of misfits and outcasts who formed a unique little family. Most of us played football together. We lived together or near each other. We cooked and drank and goofed around. Our moms were mom to all of us. When Scott and I moved into an apartment with our friends John and Crane, we got 2 pet anoles named Schnicket and Thwip, and we started marking people's heights on a piece of tape on the wall. For those unfamiliar, anoles are little lizards, and kudos if you realize their names are comic book references. Also, I realized none of us were getting any taller at that point, but that's just the sort of thing families do. Heck, my mom even had a picture of our group hanging up with the rest of the family photos in her dining room. I was reminded of all that on our little vacation. I've kept in touch with Nate and Scott a bit since college, but in all honesty, we haven't really talked that much for the last several years. We all stayed pretty close right after school, but life has a way of happening. It had been almost 10 years since I had seen Scott or Nate in person, but when we did get together, it was immediately back to old form. Well, sort of. I mean, at one point Scott did ask me if back in college I ever thought we'd be standing next to each other in the hallway asking our children who else needed to go potty before bedtime. I don't know that I had ever considered that sort of thing back then, but really, it was wonderful. Scott and his wife Kelly have a boy and a girl around the same age as Mickey and Claire, and it was sort of astonishing how quickly they became real friends. We had to wonder if it was something genetic, if that bond could be hereditary. To me, it felt like one big family as we grilled on the deck with the kids as they laughed and played. It was the same as we toured the coast with Uncle Big Nate. It felt like the kids left the Northwest with a few more people in their family, and that was everything I hoped the trip would be. So far as I can tell, there's nothing more important than family, related or otherwise. I don't suppose I've ever been the guy who's friends with everybody. I think I get along with most people, and I'm not completely socially inept. I guess I've just never been real great at small talk. Or maybe I just prefer a genuine connection to fleeting socialization. Let's put it this way. I'm probably not the guy you'd call to get the party going. I'm more the guy you'd call to help move a sofa. And I'm good with that. I like meeting new people and having a good time, but I'm more interested in things like loyalty and respect. I prefer real friendship, and I try to be a true friend. Maybe that's the product of growing up in a large, tight-knit family, surrounded by aunts and uncles and cousins. Maybe it's growing up in a blue-collar environment where substance was worth more than show. Maybe it's having gone through enough challenges and having lost enough things to realize what's really important. Whatever the reason, I've been lucky. At every stage of life, I've been blessed with family. People I care about and people who care about me. That's all family is, really. It's caring for and being cared for. It's loving and being loved. Families come in all shapes and sizes. Families don't have to look a certain way or act a certain way, and family doesn't have much to do with biological relation. To me, family is love and support and trust, granted unconditionally and without expiration. That is what I want for my children. In an age of likes and Facebook friends, in an era of connecting without connection, at a time of dangerous tribalism and fewer tribes, I want my children to feel genuinely cared for, and I want them to know there are people in their lives who will never turn their back on them. Really, that's what I want for everyone. Every person deserves to be part of a family. Put simply, that is to say, every person deserves to be loved. It may seem a bit funny to think about all these things after visiting a couple college football buddies, but I've been lucky enough to have an extended family around me through every challenge I've faced in life. I've had people in my corner, and I left our trip feeling like my kids had some more people in theirs. I was actually pretty unhappy at the start of my college career. Things weren't going the way I wanted, and I was ready to quit. Fortunately, I fell into the right group of people. I found a family. I stayed, and those college years became an incredible and defining era of my life. That's why it's so important to build our extended families, to find people who genuinely support us, to surround ourselves with those who will always have our backs. There is no greater gift than being part of a family. And there is nothing better we can offer another than welcoming them into ours. Thank you.